Space, the final frontier. These are the voyages of the starship Enterprise. Its 5-year mission, to explore strange new worlds, to seek out new life and new civilization, to boldly go where no man has gone before.
Greetings, salutations, and welcome to Retrek. I'm Captain Jim, and with me, of course, is Admiral Elliot.
Hi there.
And this week, we're taking a little bit of a break from Voyager, and we're going to be looking at the Sherlock Holmes episodes from TNG. So this has been really good fun, rewatching these ones. And it's almost a little bit topical, because there's that new... Oh, what's it called on Netflix? Called, like, The Irregulars or something.
Irregulars.
Yeah, I watched the first one. Didn't think a lot to it, to be honest. But,
yeah, I watched the first one, and I was doing something else at the same time, so
yeah,
it didn't grab my attention. Like,
didn't me either. But it shows that Sherlock Holmes has always been reinvented, and it's always coming back for a new audience. So we're revisiting the Star Trek one. Before we do that, though, little bit of Trek news, not a lot. We're expecting a lot more next week because they're doing like an online convention-y thing for First Contact Day on the 5th of April. So we're expecting, hopefully, we'll get a few nuggets, maybe find out Prodigy's air date, maybe.
Maybe find out when we all going to get Paramount International.
Oh, yeah, if that goes international.
Because at the moment, Paramount International is like a bit like the Super Bowl or the World Series with the Americans. It's only America.
Yeah, that's it. We've got it split over, even just Star Trek is split across Prime and Netflix. And the movies you can get if you've got Now TV, or Now as it's called now. So, yeah, it'd be nice if we could get it all in one place.
It'd be nice. It'd be nice so that we don't have a repeat of what happened with Lower Decks.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
Apart from anything, because that should never ever be allowed to happen again in this day and age.
No,
where America has it, and then it's another 3 or 4 months later for the rest of the world.
Yeah, especially when we've got Strange New Worlds on the horizon, which everybody's looking forward to. So
yeah.
I'm hoping for like a really early teaser of Strange New Worlds to come out next week. Literally, if they filmed anything...
A 30-second trailer.
Yeah.
A 30-second trailer of actual stuff.
Even if it's just footage of the Enterprise that they've already featured on Discovery, I don't mind that. And then just a shot of them all on the bridge or something, I'd be happy with that.
If they've sorted out the opening titles and we get a talk over.
That'd be really good. Yeah, it's Anson Mount doing the voiceover. Awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, the big Star Trek news this week, apart from it being Bill Shatner's 90th birthday, which...
And it was also... It would have been Leonard Nimoy's.
Yeah, it would have been Leonard Nimoy's.
Also, it was Marina Sirtis's birthday on Monday.
There we go. Lots of Trek birthdays. But the big news is Bill Shatner is being inducted into the celebrity wing of the WWE Hall of Fame, which means usually if you're inducted into the Hall of Fame, it means you appear at WrestleMania. So I'm expecting Shatner to be there, walk out under the WrestleMania banner.
Do a bit of Shatner foo.
It might do a bit of Shatner. I mean, I assume that's how he's managed to get into the Hall of Fame because I put it on our Facebook group, but you can find it on YouTube. Shatner food Jerry the King Lawler once back in, I think it was in the 70s when he was promoting TJ Hooker. And then I think he hosted an episode of Raw once about 10 years ago or something. So that's the bar that you need to get in the WWE Hall of Fame.
But I'm not being funny, but a lot of these wrestlers, they might have not a lot of them have their own fighting style named after them, let alone a move. He's got an entire fighting style.
Yep, you're absolutely right. That's true. I mean, there are wrestlers who have moves named after them, but most of them are dead now. It's just stuff like the Luthet's Press and
but they don't have. There isn't a wrestler called Joe Wrestler that all wrestling is named after.
No, you're right. You're right. Absolutely. I'm going to try and think of some as we go along now. But yeah, so Shatner's there. I mean, I'll be honest. The main event of WrestleMania was meant to be Edge versus Roman Reigns, and they've recently added Daniel Bryan, so now it's a triple threat match. I say make it a fatal four-way, get Shatner in there, and you finish. It's going to be the first wrestling event with a live crowd in over 12 months. You finish your WrestleMania. The thing is always send the crowd home happy. William Shatner holding the WWE title. And that's how you close out WrestleMania. I'd be happy with that.
I'd be up for that.
But we'll see. We'll see. You never know. He might come out and wave and get his Hall of Fame ring, but we'll see. So let's move on then. We'll talk about the two episodes we're looking at. First of all, it's Elementary Dear Data from season 2 of TNG. And it's
episode 3.
Yeah, it's no secret that TNG was not firing on all cylinders in season 2. I think it's fair to say this is the worst season of TNG. You could make an argument that one's worse.
Yeah,
I think
it's hard to say which is worse.
It is hard to say. I mean, season 2? There's this one. This one I think is a cracking episode. This is one of the best of season 2. There's this one. There's Q Who, Measure of a Man. That's probably it.
But that's some really strong episodes there.
Yeah, that is. Then season 1, Data Law's a really good episode. Conspiracy's a really good episode. That's probably it. Yeah, so okay, maybe season 1's worse. I don't know. But anyway, so this is Elementary Dear Data, and we'd had a hint in a season 1 episode that Data liked Sherlock Holmes. Which I can't remember. Lonely Among Us or something, where Geordie to him about it, and he gets into it a bit, and he gets his pipe. But this is the one where we actually go all out with it. So first of all, then. Basically, the Enterprise does nothing in this. There's no B plot for the ship. It's just a rendezvous.
The 3 days early, aren't they? They have a bit of a rest.
That's got to be bad planning on somebody's part. Like, why don't they go explore a nebula or something with 3 days? Janeway would have been straight off into a nebula and exploring something.
Well, you don't know. Maybe Picard sort of thought, well, we're meant to meet them here at Warp 6. Let's get there at Warp 8, and the crew can have a bit of a respite.
Yeah,
and they can have a bit of relaxation, and next time I do need them on the ball, we'll be ready for it.
Maybe so, yeah. We'll let it go. It's a bit harsh though that like the senior officers get to book all the holodecks out. The lowly crewmen are like, what are we meant to do, captains? You've got all holodecks.
Well, anyway. The crew are there to run. All the senior officers are having the relaxation.
Yeah,
because everyone knows that all the bosses do all the hard work, so your lower people don't need the time off. Same.
Exactly. Just watch Lower Decks. They don't do well. And Geordie's spending his time building this ship, which I think this is the only time we see Geordie having this pastime. And it's referenced in DS9 that O'Brien likes building ships, but I don't think we see him do it either.
We do see O'Brien's model of the Alamo, though, so O'Brien does build models.
That model's awesome at the Alamo. That's a right gaming table, is that? But, yeah, it's obviously... Maybe one of the writers has got this thing that, like, I really want one of the engineers' hobbies to be building ships. And we
had it in Voyager, didn't we? We had it in Voyager, one of the engineers... had been building a ship in a bottle because he dies about 4 or 5 episodes before they get home.
Oh yeah.
And he had one, and he just finished putting the last piece in his little Voyager inside a bottle.
Yeah, there you go. So yeah, it's something that runs through it, and I suppose I can see engineers liking to build little ships and stuff. I mean, this one that Geordie builds isn't that little though; it's huge, isn't it?
I like building models.
Yeah, exactly. And
there's a few behind me.
And he's taking up like one of the whole tables in engineering with it. It's like, you could build it in your quarters, Geordie, but no, it's out there.
Yeah, it's sort of like doing a model like that takes a lot of time.
Yeah.
Unless like how they can do them is he'll replicate huge chunks.
Oh, that's
and
cheap.
They stick perfectly each time. Because I can't imagine he's built that out of, like, I've seen some of these ship model kits, and like the amount of parts in them is absolutely ridiculous.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah.
You don't sort of build it in. You don't build it in an hour or a couple of hours in the middle of engineering on the main workstation.
No. If he's replicating chunks of it, though, that defeats the object a bit, surely.
Well, it does, but it's sort of like. How else has he had the time to build it in the middle of engineering?
Yeah, maybe he beamed it. Maybe he's been building it in his quarters. He's got to nearly the end. He wants to show it off a bit, so he beams it to engineering, and then just beams it off. Maybe anyway. So
it's a good job there wasn't an engineering emergency, and someone had to go. We need to use the main engineering console. Get this out the way.
Yeah, it's a good thing that like the auto destruct's not under it and it's not pressing it. But then we know from the fact that Riker leans on consoles all the time that the buttons only get pressed when you want to press them. You can't accidentally press them. So that's all right. So they decide, because Geordie's had his treat, Data's going to have his treat. They're going to go and play Sherlock Holmes. And so, yeah, nice little setup. What I find really funny is they get there and Geordie's like, so what do I do? Dr. Watson, he writes down everything I do. And then Geordie, like a mug, actually starts doing it. Like, he just sits down and he's like, my friend Sherlock Holmes is playing the violin. And, like, he could just blag it. He could pretend to be writing it down. But no, he actually sits there and does it. And we hear his thoughts. And
yeah, we hear what he's writing, and it's like, you're a pretty good writer, actually.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Like, he's using this right flowery language for everything. It's like, maybe it's just, he's starting off, he's a bit keen, he wants to do it right well, but if he's putting this much effort into everything as he is into this bit of violin playing, this is going to be a right epic, isn't it? Like, it
is.
My friend Sherlock Holmes, it ceases to be a musical instrument, and all right, Geordie, calm down, son. It's kind of like the kid who you go to play football and they stick you in goal, and you don't realise that it's because that's the crap job that nobody wants. But Geordie's actually making most of it. He's like, oh yeah, I'm well.
And he's loving it. Yeah, great. I get to be the guy who does the writing and does nothing else.
Go on, I'm going to give this a good go. But anyway, so Lestrade turns up, and he's got a case. And this is where it gets, like, I can see why Geordie's not impressed with this, because straight away Data's like, oh, it's that story. Boom, this is it, and you'll find this. Yeah. And, yeah, it's not fun at all.
Done.
Like, what point, Data? But then they should have probably known. I think Geordie thought that Data was going to like role play it a little bit more, didn't he? And actually go through the motions and
do so. Yeah, but he didn't. He knew the story, so he's in the characters of Holmes, and he goes, "It's so and so, so and so, so and so, so and so. Case solved."
Yeah, and yeah, I can understand that. And so Geordie storms out, and they're having this chat about it in 10 forward. And Pulaski starts giving it a bit of mouth, don't you? Like, She's really nasty, is Pulaski. Like, she's so awful to Data.
She is, and like season 1 established that even though we all know Data's an android, we don't think of him as an android. We think of him as a genuine member of the crew.
Yeah, exactly. The least you can do.
And all that. And she came in straight away, hit and at him, and like, you've just joined this ship, and this is he's your superior officer.
Yeah, he's
and
the
all you're doing is
hand of the whole ship.
Oh, yeah. All you're doing is guarding him and saying he isn't a real person, so if you don't think he should be giving you orders or anything, is how you've got to interpret what she's saying.
And to be fair, like, the Doctor can supersede the captain and the first officer, but the only person she can't supersede is Data, because he doesn't have any medical conditions that would allow her to do it. So, yeah, she's got serious issues. I know they were trying to set up they're almost trying to go for like a Spock and Bones dynamic.
I wonder if that's what they were hoping for, and it just never ever worked.
No,
you never got that.
This is so much nastier than that. And yeah, it doesn't make us like Pulaski at all. Like, with Bones, you could sympathise both sides of it. Yeah,
like, she's still a disliked character. And you've got to think that it's got to be because of this how she is towards Data.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, I still have this theory that I kind of feel like she knew that she wasn't stopping in the show long, because she's always credited as special appearance by... She's never listed on the main credit. And, I mean, everything that you read, Gates McFadden was fired. She went off to do theatre work and things. And they didn't have any...
Well, there's all sorts of stories. It's like she wanted a year off to film The Hunt for Red October, which...
Oh, yeah.
I can't... And all sorts... And there's all sorts of stories that have come out since, and...
But, yeah,
some of them are quite...
Yeah.
Some of them are quite nasty, some of the stuff that's been said, and...
Yeah.
Don't know if it's true or not, so I'm not going to speculate.
No, of course. And, yeah, to me, it feels like Diane Muldaur knew that she wasn't meant to be in it. You know, that she wants to be around long, otherwise, why wouldn't you be credited as a full cast member anyway?
Is this the second or third character she played? Because she's in the original series.
She's in the original series, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure she played 2 different characters in the original series.
I think she played an alien and a crew member as well.
Yeah.
So the setup then is that she's like, well, Data can't solve anything if he don't already know the outcome to it. Which I don't know what she bases that on, because it's like Data's one of the most intelligent character. You know, he's programmed to be able to
and how often is he the one who comes up with what they need to do to solve the situation they're in?
Exactly. So I don't know what
unique situations. He's third in command, and he comes up with solutions and recommendations of how to get out of the situations. And they've never been in that situation before.
Yeah. And the irony of all this is Pulaski's giving it all that. But then when they get to the holodeck, they have to explain the holodeck to her. And I know it's for the viewer's benefit, because, you know, the holodeck's still quite new at this stage in Star Trek. And so you have to have the characters going, oh, well, it does this. And, you know, it tricks you by putting things in. But it does really Pulaski not knowing what it is.
It's like... It's hard to work out with holograms, isn't it? Because we can see that they've got we've seen Discovery, and they've got rudimentary holographic stuff going on. We've seen it in TOS, the animated series, that shows that they had holodecks. It had sceneries, or it had landscapes, but it didn't have characters. So you've got to assume that they are used to some form of holodeck.
Yeah. But the setup then is they do the next mystery, and Data solves this straight away as well. And it's because it's kind of a mishmash of a couple of different stories.
Yeah, and Pulaski's fair enough here. She goes, "You're a fraud." There's two stories, you know them.
Yeah.
And you knew what the answer was because of that.
Yeah. So it all leads to this bit where Geordi sets the computer up and he wants it so it can challenge Data.
I want to actually say that before Geordi did anything here, the holodeck was already broken.
Oh, go on.
Because when they first enter with Pulaski, and they put in the program, and I don't mean like the later one where Geordi says do X, Y, and Z, but the first time it just goes program ready.
Yeah.
Wait, the holodeck is meant to say holodeck program ready, enter when ready.
Ah.
And it missed out all the enter when ready. So I surmise that whoever had used the holodeck before this had actually broken it.
Right.
And it has nothing to do with what Geordi says. Because
Maybe.
I think it's a bit of a stretch what Geordi says
Yeah.
to create all this series of events.
I've always thought that. And I've always thought, like, well, if it's that easy for the computer to create new life, that's just crazy. And surely something like this would have happened before.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't know what's happened to the holodeck, but before they've actually entered the first time, the holodeck is already malfunctioning.
Yeah,
and you
I
can
agree.
tell because it doesn't give you the correct prompt to enter the holodeck.
Like, what about Worf when he's making these monsters to fight? Like, what if he just said, make one of these that's capable of beating me, and it'd have made this big monster that's alive thing, you know, it could have, you got to keep an eye on it, you know. So anyway, they do that. And also, I think you might be right, because you see Moriarty staring at him before Geordi makes that request. Like, and he's looking a bit shifty. I know Moriarty always looks shifty because he's the villain, but it's almost like he knows what's going on before he's supposed to know what's going on.
Yeah.
But then they do it, and he can summon the Arch, and he says he feels like a new man and all this, and
things have changed, and
so first thing he does seemingly is kidnap Dr. Pulaski, and there's almost throughout this episode almost like they're trying to play up like a romance thing, isn't there, between Pulaski and Moriarty? You know, it's like you get your tea and scones, but as we find out in the next episode, he's in love with the Countess Bartholomew, so, you know, obviously it's just a bit of a passing fancy.
Flirting, bit on the side.
Yeah.
Well, he is a major international criminal, so he probably thinks, well, I can have a couple of girls on the go here.
Yeah, you're right. You know, he's all over the place, Moriarty, from what I remember. I mean, I've not read too many of the original books, but yeah. And though weirdly, something I do know about it is Moriarty only appears in one story. Originally, they just it's like a really early retcon. Like in it, and then they go, oh, and it was him who set up everything before. So yeah, that's interesting. Anyway, there's a good bit where you do see Data doing the deduction, like where they have this dead body, and Geordi's like, oh, I think you'll find that. So he's trying to do something else other than just write everything down at this point. So
yeah, he's obviously thought, actually, this is a pretty shit role, just watching you have all the fun and me writing it.
Yeah, I'm going to get involved in it. Write this down, Data. But obviously, Geordi gets it wrong, and Data manages to solve it. But he's like, yeah, but this has got nothing to do with what the actual mystery is now. So it's almost like the holodeck's still doing what it were doing before, like throwing in elements that they're already.
It's still running. It's still running the sort of Sherlock Holmes mystery, but Moriarty's doing stuff outside of that.
Yeah, he's off on his own doing it. he works out, obviously, that it's going to be Moriarty because, it's Sherlock Holmes, his greatest enemy and everything. And they track him back to the lab, and he knows that they're not who they're supposed to be. And then you get that cool bit where, like, he draws that thing, and they're like, oh, my God, and they run out and everything, and they take the bit of paper out.
Well, Geordie runs out scared because he gives Data a bit of paper. At the point where Geordie's scared, he hasn't seen what's on the paper.
That's true.
He's just running scared because Data is.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, there's a weird bit where, like, Data hands it to Geordie, and Geordie flips it over and goes, how can he have drawn the Enterprise? But the way he does it, it means Geordie were looking at it upside down, and then...
Well, I'm assuming that with his visor it can
and
put
also
things in the correct perspective.
There's no up in space, so, it's not upside down the way we think of it. But they take the paper off the holodeck, which is a bit weird in an episode where the whole point is that you can't come off the holodeck.
You can't come off the holodeck.
Now,
we have seen that before, like throwing snowballs off the holodeck.
Yeah, and Picard had
they work.
Picard had lipstick on him that he shouldn't have done.
Yeah.
And, Cyrus Redblock took a long time to disappear, whereas everything disappears instantly.
I know that they're sort of written that you have characters that are just holograms, so they can't move off, but it also uses transporter technology and replicated technology, so it does actually create matter.
Yeah, and we get more into that in the next episode. But now I've heard, and I don't know how true this is, that the reason there's this plot hole about him taking the bit of paper off is because this was originally intended to be a two-parter, and it was going to go straight into Ship in a Bottle. And so that was going to be a clue that they'd not actually left the holodeck, was that Data had brought this off the holodeck. But obviously
they were in such a rush to get to the Outrageous Corner, they made it a one-parter.
Yeah, they didn't want to, so maybe that's it.
He's coming back, He
is, and we're all excited about that. He must have not been able to believe it when he got that call. Like, what? You want me to... But
reprise my role.
Everyone's hated me for 30 years for that role. No? Okay, yeah, I'll do it. So then we find out that basically Geordie, like we said, he overrode the computer somehow by asking for this opponent. And Picard swears in French, like he says, merde, which is French. And so anybody who's watching Picard and says, oh, yeah, I can't believe people swear, Picard, we're at it. There he was. We're just swearing in French. We just didn't get the universal translator. But, so Picard's always had a bit of a potty mouth, we can see there. Yeah,
like, I'm not being funny, but, like, they're going, oh, it's because of what I told it to create a character that could defeat Data.
Yeah.
Come on. Like, I've already said, there's got to be something else wrong with the holodeck to be doing what it's done here.
Yeah, it don't make any sense. And, like, they all talk about, like, oh, it was only... Dr. Soong was the only one who could create artificial life. Like, well, your holodeck can do it for laugh, apparently, if you just say the wrong thing to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't work. But anyway.
Yeah, I want to stick with my theory that something that we don't see in this episode, so something between episode 2 of season 2 and episode 3 of season 2 has affected the holodeck. And he's just waiting for them to use it.
Yeah. So then Riker comes up with his brilliant plan. Like, why don't we just destroy the holoprograms with this gun? And it's like, yeah, we can go in, bang, 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 we'll shoot it. And they're like, will that kill Dr. Pulaski? Oh, yeah, it'll tear human flesh apart as well. Not your best idea there, Riker, but, I can see where you were going with it. And then...
Well, can't we just turn off the program?
Well, you can't, can you?
And Pulaski would be just stood then in the black and yellow gridded room.
It's stuck because Moriarty's got control of the computer, and he's wired it all into this big lever that he's got in his in his warehouse, and he keeps pulling lever, and then it keeps making chip shake, which I think's pretty cool. And yeah, this is where he's sort of wooing Pulaski. Like, he's trying to get a bit of information out of her, like, oh, I'll give you a cup of tea and put the milk in, I'll get you a gun.
Got a bit of funny in that. Yeah. A bit of funny for me, honey.
He's a proper smoothie. And Picard decides he's going to go confront him. And Picard's like, oh, no, we'll stay within the parameters of the program, so I'll get dressed up. And he's not just, he gets a cane and everything. He's
he really gets in it. If I'm doing this, I'm doing it right.
Yeah, like, we got 4 days, we're not in a rush. Oh, we got 3 days, so, go and get me a selection of canes, and I'll pick the best one that suits me most and go in. There's that good bit with the mugger where Data just grabs his finger, and that's pretty good. And yeah, this is the thing with this episode. It all gets wrapped up really, really quickly. Like, once Picard speaks to him, they just have a bit of a chat. And
I didn't, until you said, I didn't know that originally it was meant to be a 2-parter and it was meant to go.
I've heard that. I don't know if it's legitimately true.
It makes sense because the episode wraps up very, very quickly.
Yeah, it does. Like, this is, when I was watching it, I had to pause it. And there was 4 minutes left when Picard's going to speak to Moriarty, and that's with credits.
Yes.
So yeah, he gets there and he's like, he says, oh, well, when you win, it'll all be over. So Data says, yeah, you've won, but that don't work because he's sort of progressed beyond it. And there's sort of this thing about, are you a life form? And Moriarty calls it out, he says, well, you treat Data like he's a real person, but why not,
Well, we had it in season 1, didn't we? What's the episode where it's that silly little light?
Oh,
that decides a sentient being. But
soil.
It's like sort of what is sentience?
Yeah. And yeah, but Picard sort of doesn't really have a good answer for him at this stage. He's kind of like, oh, well, maybe you are, and yeah, we'll have a look into it for you, and yeah. And then Moriarty goes, all right.
At the moment we can't take you off, but we'll save your program, and we'll see if we can sort some out.
Yeah, and it'll be dead quick.
But this is worth remembering because of the events of the next episode.
Yeah.
That Moriarty's talking to Pulaski as if she's going to wait for him and all that, and she goes, I might be a really old woman by the time we solve this. We're talking, this could take, so they're obviously talking this could take decades.
Yeah.
To resolve this problem.
But yeah,
which I think is important to bear in mind, that he's quite okay with this, that this could take decades and decades to solve. I have no problem with that.
You're right. I've not thought of that, but yeah, you spot on. But obviously, it's 4 years later when we do pick it up. Now, one of the reasons it took so long for them to follow it up is, and again, I don't know all of this legit for definite. This is just different things I've read over the years, so don't sue me if I'm wrong. But speaking of suing, apparently Paramount got sued by the Arthur Conan Doyle estate, and they said you've used Sherlock Holmes without license. So they thought, it must have been that Next Gen episode we did, and that's why they didn't go back to it for years. Turned out it was nothing to do with that. It was the fact that they made that young Sherlock Holmes film. And nobody thought, or maybe it's that big film that we brought out, not the Star Trek episode.
that we call Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah, apparently the Conan Doyle estate didn't have any issue with elementary day data at all. It was all to do with young Sherlock Holmes, but
which you could understand if if Paramount hasn't informed the Conan Doyle estate and aren't doing royalties for making young Sherlock Holmes, you can understand why they'd be quite annoyed at the fact that they'd done a film, Young Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah, exactly. But either way, it took them 4 years before they could sort it all out and they were allowed to go back to the story. So we pick up season 6 then, and Data's acting as Holmes again. And in a way, that's quite funny because it sort of shows it as if to say, oh yeah, Data's been doing this all the time. We just haven't been able to show you for copyright reasons. So,
yeah, this is one of his regular pastimes.
Yeah, let's just pretend this is something he does all the time, and we won't say out about the fact we haven't been able to show it.
Which I actually find odd. Like, he might like the character of Sherlock Holmes, but Pulaski made a really good point, and so did Geordie, that he knows all these stories already. If he's played them all,
maybe he's been.
I can't believe him playing them again. Unless he's been trying over and over, create me a character that can beat me, and he's been beating Moriarty's on the side that could take over the ship.
They've got hundreds
for years without anyone knowing.
Yeah, maybe they've found a way of doing original stories. Maybe that's what he's done. Like, he's branched into other stuff. Like, he's gone, okay, I've done all the original Conan Doyle ones, so let me try and solve the Benedict Cumberbatch ones now. And let's
go into the Basil Rathbone era.
Yeah, let's do them. Let's do the irregulars. I'll fight the hack.
Strangely enough, like, I'm not at that age for Basil Rathbone, but when I was growing up, the Basil Rathbone movies, where it's Sherlock Holmes in World War II, were the ones that were repeated constantly on British TV.
Yeah.
So I didn't realise until I was a lot older that Sherlock Holmes was actually a Victorian character.
Yeah, well, this is the thing. It's been reinterpreted that many times.
Yeah.
So maybe that's it. Yeah, he's playing through all the different...
Like Basil Rathbone, the movies were made in the 1940s during the Second World War.
Yeah.
And I'm nowhere near that old. But they were what was repeated. So they were the ones that I saw all the time. And, like, there would be the odds of a Sherlock Holmes movie that came out.
Yeah,
but there's absolutely... hundreds is probably an exaggeration, but there's a lot of Basil Rathbone that they repeated over and over.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Sherlock Holmes was a World War II detective. Yeah, makes great. What's this Victorian rubbish when I first found it? Started seeing it.
It's got Frankenstein and Jack the Ripper. If Sherlock Holmes hadn't done it, it ain't worth doing. So the thing is here, Data tries to catch him out by throwing the thing and him catching it with the wrong hand, but he doesn't. He catches it with the correct hand. And that makes him realise there's a bit of a glitch. To be honest, at this point, I'd be like, oh, the Sherlock Holmes programme's playing up again, like, sod that. You know, let's just delete it now. It didn't go well last time. But instead, they get Barclay in to fix it.
Well, Barclay, to be fair, Barclay should be a holodeck expert.
Yeah, he definitely should.
Should he be allowed to work on them? Because by this stage, was it established he suffered from holodeck psychosis?
Yeah, that was his first episode, so...
Yeah, should he be the engineer called to work on holodecks?
Well, he has to be, because we've got Dwight Schultz for the week, so Barclay has to be involved in this one. And
to be fair, I like Dwight Schultz, but
he's great.
I wish that he didn't always play mental characters.
Yeah, it's variations on a theme, isn't it? But he So he accidentally activates the Moriarty thing. Now, you'd think it had come with a little bit of a warning before it boots it up. Like, you know, like if you try and open an email attachment that don't come from a recognised source, it's always like, are you sure you open this email?
Well, it was sealed, wasn't it? And like he can, and it goes, there's so security and all that. I can't remember what the computer says exactly. Would you like to continue? And he goes, yeah, open it anyway.
Yeah,
great. That's how passwords work in the future.
Yeah, he should have at least had to read like the T's and C's of it or something. You know, like, you know, do you accept that you
surely it'd have been
criminal?
You need command authorization.
You thought so, but no.
Anyway. But it just goes, there's X, Y, and Z security on it. Would you like to continue? Oh yeah, open it.
Yeah, so Barclay's off, and he just uses it to test whether he's catching it with the correct hand or not, and that's it. And the sort of the similarities to Wrath of Khan a little bit, because Moriarty thinks, oh, Captain Picard abandoned me to years, and so there's almost a similar thing there, where it's like, oh, he didn't bother to check on my progress, and all of this, but like you said, if you were prepared for decades, then
yeah, and it was very clear about it that this may take decades till someone can do this.
And then maybe it's that Moriarty didn't realise that he'd be conscious because they established that he's remembering it to some degree.
Yeah.
So that's obviously a cause of concern to them. And it's quite funny how he sort of pretends to get turned off, but then he sneakily reappears afterwards.
Yeah.
Whose benefit's he doing that for? Because no one else can see him. So, and he don't need it. Anyway.
Well, I'm assuming he's turned himself off, so he thinks Barclay's got. So Barclay thinks he's off. So Barclay will leave the holodeck.
Oh, yeah.
And we've already established from elementary data that he can call up the Ark and start programming the computer.
True.
So he's had to come back, and I reckon he's been doing all this stuff. He's been getting ready for Picard and Data coming back.
Yeah, I think you're right.
That's why he had to come back, and I think that's what he was doing here, getting the holodeck in a holodeck ready.
So then Barclay reports it to Geordi. He does it sort of in an offhand conversational thing. When there's a bit of a break in the conversation, he goes, oh, by the way, something really weird happened when we were on the holodeck. This Moriarty thing. Like, if something like this happens, and you know it's a secret file, the first thing you should do is report it.
I've just opened a secret file. Someone's appeared that shouldn't have appeared.
Yeah.
And they've asked by name to speak to Captain Picard.
Yeah. So, but he just brings it up, you know, in a couple of minutes when he thinks of it, which is really weird.
Oh, by the way, this guy just sort of has to see Captain Picard. What should I do about it? Well, what do you think you should bloody do?
You should have reported it to Geordi.
Unless he was sort of like, unless this is like what I say, why he shouldn't have been the engineer called to the holodeck. That he thought he was having an episode of his holodeck psychosis.
Yeah,
when Moriarty appeared, and that's why he was hesitant to say anything.
Yeah, he's not sure it's actually real. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or he's worried that because he got done last time for making holodeck programs for people. So maybe he's worried that, he'll get a slap on the wrist again. Picard goes to talk to him and he throws the book out to show it's not real and everything. And Moriarty does his big moment where he steps into the real world, or what we think's the real world at the time. And he starts asking about it all. And he says,
Picard should have been suspicious. As soon as he threw the book out and it vanished, Picard should have been suspicious. Because in elementary data, we established that you can take paper out of a holodeck.
But he wasn't taking it, he was throwing it. Maybe you've got to be holding it.
Yeah, but he was hit by a snowball that was thrown out of the holodeck, so he knows that things that are thrown can leave.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, throwing is the way
So
that you...
he's got a double whammy there. He knows paper can be taken out, and he knows anything thrown will leave.
So, by that logic, they should have just got Moriarty and chucked him out, and that'd have probably worked.
But he's actually a hologram person. He's different. The paper is matter that's been created using the transporters and replicators.
You're right.
Moriarty is a character that's created by just pure holograms.
Put him in a massive envelope and post it out. That does it. Or wrap him in a big snowball and roll it. But yeah, so he says like, "Oh, what sort of ship are we on? What ocean does it sail?" Is he just blagging him at this stage? Because he's already drawn a picture of it in the last episode, and you know that saucer would be top heavy and it'd sink it if it were a boat. But he must know that they're not on a sail.
I don't think he does know that he's on a spaceship, because if he's set with sort of 19th century parameters, I think there was Jules Verne and H.G. Wells were writing science fiction, but I think H.G. Wells was after Arthur Conan Doyle.
But if he's made...
There's been Jules Verne's stuff, but it wasn't mainstream to have science fiction like spaceships. Like, your science fiction was things like Atlantis and that sort of thing.
But if Moriarty's made a simulation of the whole Enterprise, you'd think he'd have studied it a bit to realise that it's a spaceship.
Yeah.
Anyway, so maybe he's just blagging him, maybe he's not, I don't know. I like, though, that
it could... when I think about it more, because he's recreated all 1,000 crew members. Yeah. You have to imagine. He's used all the personnel files to be able to get all the personal files and that to be able to get the mannerisms, etc.
Yeah.
He's got the entire ship in the hologram.
The Enterprise has got a lot better memory than Deep Space Nine, because it took all of DS9's internal memory to store 6 crew members in the ship. We have it established very early on in Next Generation that the Enterprise has the biggest mobile computer in the Federation. Yeah, and
also DS9 is actually a Cardassian station.
Yeah.
And we have it established the first time that the Federation in Next Generation... we have it established in the Next Generation with the Cardassians. The Cardassians think that it's extremely great technology that you can read another ship's transponder code.
Yeah, true.
So the Federation are way advanced on the Cardassians.
As long as you don't install Call of Duty on Deep Space Nine, you'll be alright, because that takes up... Like, there's people, who've bought the new PS5s and the new Xbox, and it takes up something like a quarter of your memory or something to, it's insane, the new Call of Duty. I've not got it. So bored of Call of Duty now. But yeah, apparently people are kicking off because it's... And then they're like, oh, but you can buy a memory expansion for another 200 quid. Like, anyway.
That's nice of you.
Exactly. So Moriarty takes over the ship again, and I like when he goes to the bridge and Worf sort of reaches under that railing that he's got and pulls out a sneaky phaser, like it's a shotgun under a counter in a shop or something. I mean, it makes perfect sense, but I just think it's cool.
To be fair, Worf is the head of chief security officer on the flagship of the Federation. He should have a phaser on him all the time he's on duty. I have no problem when he's off duty and he's off recreation in killing his monsters for him just to have his bat lift with him.
Yeah.
But as chief of security, he's one of the people on the Enterprise that should always be armed, because how many times we see intruders being directly onto the bridge, etc. He should always have a phaser ready.
Yeah, I mean, the Enterprise does get taken over a lot to say it's the flagship.
Yeah. Well, maybe it's because it's the flagship it gets taken over a lot.
Yeah,
because the thing, we make it, it's like that terrorist thing, we make a statement, we go for the flagship. But where terrorists go for capitals, don't they?
But then, if you look at the ratio of successful to unsuccessful attempts to take it over, it's pretty bad reading for Worf. Like, there's not been a lot of times someone's tried to board it and take it over that they've not actually succeeded. But
they've had to take it. They've had to retake it, haven't they?
Yeah, mind that happens on all the shows, so you've got to let it go. But I like that he's got his sneaky phaser hidden under the thing, and so now there is a time limit because we've got these planets that are going to collide. And Moriarty,
it's a star it's the birth of a star, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the two planets are gonna and Moriarty now has got this countess that he wants to. At first, he says, "I want you to give a consciousness like you did to me," but then he just does it off screen. So apparently, we were saying it's far too easy for Geordi to do it, but apparently Moriarty can do it as well. So, it just
has he given a consciousness, or has he given a awareness of the surroundings? And I think it's more likely that he's given a awareness of the surroundings.
Yeah, she thinks that she's real. But
she has no problem with that. She's actually on a spaceship in the 24th century in a hologram. I think she's sort of been programmed with an awareness, not as opposed to a consciousness.
So, do you think that Moriarty thinks she's got a consciousness, or that he knows she hasn't, but he's happy for her to think she has?
I think that he thinks that she has, but that's because he doesn't understand the difference of the programming and all that. I think he sort of made her aware of her surroundings, and within the parameters of her program, she's allowed to sort of think, this is fine. And in the the Countess and all that, played by the lovely Stephanie Powers, and I love Stephanie Powers in Sci-Fi. I think she's brilliant.
Oh, what else has she been in? I don't know.
She was Sequest DSV.
Oh, was she?
Yeah. Yeah, she was. Was she the chief medical officer of Sequest DSV?
I can't remember. It's a long time since I've seen that one, but that would be fun. But yeah, she's really good in this, and the Countess is really good. And I like that they sort of touch on this thing of, first of all, Picard's like, oh, by the way, Moriarty, we don't stand for any crime in this century either. So they're taking him seriously as if, like, well, actually, he's alive, but he's also one of the most nefarious villains ever created, so we've got to keep an eye on him. And Picard sort of asks her, well, how can you be in love with a man like that, And she's, oh, well, he's changed, and I do find that quite interesting. Then we sort of get the reveal starts to dawn on everyone, like they're not able to get any logs of the transporter experiment that they do, and Geordi catches it with the wrong hand, which gives away that Geordi's not real. But Picard's already ballsed it up by giving his security codes to the computer, which is obviously part of Moriarty's plan, was to get Picard into a situation where he'd have to do that. And Moriarty then can take over the real ship. And he's sort of playing them one off each other, like he's going, well, in my fake version, they're trying to do this, so you need to try and do that now, Riker, and see if that works. And obviously it's not going to. Like, they have... Oh, they try it with
you've got
computers, and
you've got to disable the Heisenberg compensator.
That's it. Yeah, Picard gives the Countess all this rubbish about you've got.
Well, the Heisenberg. It actually makes a lot of sense because it's based on the Heisenberg uncertainty principle, and it's that where will the matter be in relation to motion when it comes up? So you need a compensator so it has everything stationary from where you beam it to where it comes out.
Yeah, that does make sense then. But Picard's doing this deliberately to get it back to Moriarty, who'll feed it back to Riker, and now Picard's kind of in control of it all. And
yeah, well, we're now getting to the stage of a hologram within a hologram within a hologram.
Yeah, you've got the real holodeck, and then within that you've got Moriarty's simulation of everything. And inside that, there's a holodeck that Picard makes a simulation inside that Moriarty...
Well, data makes it for him. Picard's... Yeah, data does it. Like, this is Captain Picard. Picard doesn't actually do lots, really. Picard tells people, because Picard is a great captain, and he knows how to command his crew to do the jobs.
You're right, and yeah, he probably wouldn't have put Barclay on this to begin with, and then we'd have saved all this. I think it's really clever. I do think the episode is really clever. All the layers within layers and the plans within plans, and so Moriarty's speaking to.
You're bluffing us, but at the same time, we're bluffing you.
Yeah, it's great, and so ultimately they beam Moriarty off the. Make Moriarty think they've beamed him off the holodeck, but he hasn't. He's in a simulation. And like you've even got the Riker that they program, he's taking it really seriously. Like he's like, come on, you need to get going, so I've got this planet. And so yeah, it's all really, really good. And then they shut down one program, and then they're like, right, so if this has worked, we're actually on the real holodeck now, so let's turn this one off. And then now we should be on the real Enterprise. And I think the solution, what they do with Moriarty is cool. That they've got him in a memory thing, so he does get to live out all these life, this experience and everything. And
they've got. It just shows, like, though, that the problems with Cardassian technology, that the Federation can have two conscious, one conscious and one aware hologram within a little cube.
Yeah.
That's flying around the entire galaxy and going wherever they want as a continuous loop. And the Cardassians built a huge, big space station that can't.
Yeah, true.
Can't get close to just 6 people.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you get Picard makes a little speech about the nature of reality, like how do we know we're not? Basically, it's that thing that you get in conspiracy theorists now, saying, well, how do
Are
we
we
know
in the Matrix?
Are we in the Matrix? Yeah, and then Barclay tests it out right at the end, which I think's funny. That's a very Barclay.
Have something to eat. Have something to eat that you've never eaten before and see if it tastes like chicken. If it does, we're in the Matrix. Because things that we don't know just automatically taste like chicken because it's like a base. It's a base flavour.
Yeah, that's why everything tastes like chicken. I think Cypher had the right idea in the Matrix. I did, because like that Zion they went to, that were a proper shithole. So I'd been like him, just put me back in, make me rich, wipe me memory of the real world. Done. Yeah. I'm happy with that.
Make me really rich. Let me have all these women. Yeah, great.
Yeah, Cypher definitely had the right idea, but yeah, Keanu went and ruined it for him, so there we go.
Well, we'll find out what we in the new one.
Oh, yeah, of course, Matrix 4. Yeah, I'm still not quite sure how they're going to bring Neo and Trinity back, but
no,
we'll see. and why not Morpheus? Like they've got the other two, but not Morpheus. Anyway. We'll see. I mean, hopefully it'll be better than the second and third one, but you never know.
Yeah, first one is amazing. It'd be better if they hadn't made it a trilogy.
Yes, it would. But yeah, out and out classic. Anyway, so that's Elementary Dear Data and Ship in a Bottle. If you want to get in touch with us, you can tweet us at RetrekPod. You can email us retrekpod@gmail.com. You can come and join us on Facebook, search for Retrek. You can check out Elliot's ongoing series of videos of building a TOS enterprise, which is looking awesome.
Yeah, it's sort of over. I'm at the other side of the room this week, so I can't just go like that and grab it. But
yeah, it's looking really good.
It's at the stage of. I got the deflector dish fitted yesterday, so the deflectors were fitted on the Tuesday.
Excellent. Yeah, good attention to detail.
So I'm at the stage where I'm putting connectors on all the wiring that I'm off to try it on the control board for the first time in the next day or two.
Excellent.
And that should be out as a video maybe this weekend, depending how the trial goes on the control board.
Yeah, so check that out on YouTube. That's Retrek Model Studios. We've also got the Retrek channel where you can watch the live streams of the podcasts. And if you can take a few minutes out of your day, leave us hopefully a positive review on your podcatcher of choice. And yeah, we'll be back next week. So thanks for trekking this time.
We're not sure where we'll be. We're not sure what we're going to do next week yet. It'll be a surprise next week.
It'll be a surprise. Surprise to us as well. We'll just...
Yeah.
pick episodes out of that. Anyway, we'll see. So yeah, thanks for trekking with us this time. We'll see you next time on the Retrek.
Thank you. Bye-bye.